Welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. I just uploaded a video, so it will be under this video. If you scroll down after watching this, it's basically Instagram. I'm not really a fan of Instagram, neither am a fan of Facebook, but they served me well for the years. They've always been there, and I've built up a lovely friendship with so many people. So I still got the page, even though I'm shadow banned and it's hard to find me, but there is a link below. Each morning I make normally a coffee morning chat wherever I am in the world. Obviously of late I'm only in Europe because of reasons that most of you already know. But these chats are basically just thought-provoking chats talking about all sorts of things. So maybe you might like it, maybe you might not, it might be weird, but anyway, it's there. And if you want to join me on there, unfortunately there's a lot of fake accounts. And there's nothing I can do about that, guys, nothing at all. But if you click the link below under the video that I just made, it'll take you to my profile and my page. So then you can, become a friend and chat. We actually have a chat at the same time. So we talk in the morning sometimes, I look at the messages and sometimes I have a chat. Sometimes I'm so involved in the conversation I don't see the chats. So most people know where I am by now. Bloody, oh, he's going off on one. So I hope this doesn't. I hope the video underneath doesn't get a strike or anything, because I think it was the conversation. What was the conversation about? There's so many things we talk about on a coffee morning. Hey ho, shut up, Mark. We're talking about Moldavite today. Okay, listen, I've just made myself a coffee, and it's organic coffee with oat milk, and I'm gonna get comfortable now. I've got my green top on, got my Moldavite on, that's just come back from Bali, and I'm gonna talk about Moldavite today, and we're gonna go into depth into Moldavite. Now, there's been a few subscribers as of late, 3,000 actually in the past 4 days, so thank you very much and welcome to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel. You're in the Pure Energy Healing Academy. Before this academy came about, I was in a little tiny shop called Tickle Pink in the village of Mijas Pueblo. That's M-I-J-A-S Pueblo. That's in the Andalusian mountains, or let's say the Costa del Sol. And it's a beautiful little mountain. And I came here at 38 years old, lost, not knowing who I am, a businessman, but not a massively successful businessman, but plenty of businesses and looking after all the staff basically. And I just couldn't cope with it anymore. So after paying all my debts off, we ended up with about 5,000 euros, 4,000 to 5,000 euros in my pocket, and we drove to this mountain top. Ended up here, and as coincidence has, I ended up becoming a healer. Can you imagine? An auctioneer becoming a healer. And I just embraced it. It was second nature. Some things that you just are good at. And I learned many things about what I was doing. So when the pupil is ready, the teacher appears. Where am I going with this? Well, one day after quite a while of understanding the spiritual nature of the connection of the spirit world, somebody put a piece of Moldavite in my hand. And the Moldavite, I would say, was about that big. And at the time it was extremely expensive. I think it was about, so I don't know, I think it was 79 euros she paid. And that was my first mentor. She was known as the Psychic Queen of Ireland. She was a high priestess, and she'd practiced many different forms of, let's say, spiritual techniques. So she saw within me something, and she started to explain to me what I was doing. And that was fascinating, because I didn't really know what was happening and what I was doing. So to have somebody explain all of this. Anyway, it was on my birthday. It was October the 20th. And or was it the 17th? I think it was the 20th. Anyway, you just need to Google it. It was at the Mind, Body and Spirit Festival in Marbella, the H10 hotel. And I just finished 2-day event, and that was my first event. And I was actually fully booked within the first half hour. So people knew about me prior, but this was my first event. So lots of people came to support me, which was really nice, and lots of new clients. So in that day, I would do 20-minute sessions. So the first day I did between 17 and 20 sessions, something like that, because sometimes it run more than 20 minutes. And then the next day I did about 22 sessions. So altogether, I'd done about 30 to 40 sessions. My energy was high. I'm going somewhere with this. My energy was, forget high. I was like dancing on cloud 9. Everybody was overjoyed with their session, and I just like, you know, this is it. This is my life. So my mentor says, come over here. And we went over to this stand belonging to Joelle. Now, I knew Joelle from before, and she had beautiful crystals. And my mentor bought me a crystal, and she put it in my hand. Showed you what size it was. And I remember stood looking at Joelle, holding this crystal and closing my eyes, because that's what my mentor said, close your eyes and hold the crystal. At that particular moment, there was a feeling of my body became so light that I felt my body lift off the ground maybe 10 inches. Now, you would obviously say that's BS, and yes, you're right, it is BS, but it's BS if you're watching me, because my body is quite clearly on the ground. But my feeling, my perception, that moment experience felt like my body was lifting up, elevating. And I opened my eyes and went, what the hell is this? And that was the beginning of my journey with Moldavite. That was the start of my journey, okay? And you can imagine with that, if you think about it, I was at the highest point of my psychic work. So I was aware, I was attuned, because I'd just been doing readings and healings. So it was a perfect, she knew this was the perfect moment. But what she also knew is not to tell me about it, not to even mention it. She just put it in my hand, which for a lot of people is a bit disconcerting, because you're hearing about this now. So all of a sudden, your understanding of Moldavite, your perception, your experience, now that I've shared this with you, has risen. So your expectation of Moldavite when you get it could be the downside of your experience. For me, nobody told me about Moldavite. She just put it in my hand. So I had no expectations. I didn't know what was going to happen. She said, just close your eyes. I didn't know why it was closing my eyes. And then she smiled and she said, you know, Mark, how many people have that same experience? And like I said, I was just blown away. From that moment on, my life was healing, psychic work, circle nights, shamanic work with working with shamans, traveling the world, and Moldavite. I loved every other crystal. I worked with tons of crystals, but Moldavite was the most important crystal of my life from that moment on. So speed forward now, and I'm now 54. In a few days, in a couple of weeks, I'm 55. Not bad, eh? Sexy guy. George Clooney gets so jealous every time he watches these videos. How does he look so young? I know, George. It's shocking, isn't it, mate? It's awful. So, yeah, that was funny. I was with a friend in Lake Como, and she says, oh, see that house there as we're driving past? I said, yeah. She said, that's where George Clooney lives. I went, oh, good for him. I bet he's not drinking his coffee, is he? That crappy coffee they tried to sell. I bet he's drinking real Italian coffee. Anyway, so yeah, here I am today. Taking a long while, but look at that. Yeah, Moldavite. I'm just uploading them now. So, what happened with Moldavite, Mark? What's so special about Moldavite for you guys who don't know me and you've just tuned in? I took that same foundation, that same principle, and used it from that moment on, and for the next 9 months I wrote in a book all the experiences of crystals, but predominantly Moldavite. So what that means is when a client used to come up the stairs and say, "Hi Mark, I've come for a reading," or excuse me, "I've come for a healing session," I'd say, "Oh, lovely," and then I'd lie them down. So the lying down, they have no idea what I'm about to do. They close their eyes and I begin. And what I started to do is use crystals. And one in particular was called Moldavite. And I used to put it all over the body, in the hand, by their head, yeah, anywhere down by their feet, just seeing what would happen. Two amazing places. In fact, 3 probably amazing places. Yeah, probably 3. So that's the crown, top of the head, third eye, and the heart. These 3 places were magnificent, but also the hand as well. Sometimes the hand was just, yeah, I shouldn't say 3. Forget the 3, just forget what, strike that last line out, he didn't say anything. You can place Moldavite practically anywhere and the experience can be incredible. But I used to put a piece of Moldavite on the third eye of predominantly men who were completely nil and void of spiritual awareness, okay? And I give them a healing session, and then I take the Moldavite off, and they'd get up and they'd start telling me their experience. So I'd clock it and write it down. I soon came to understand that throughout all the crystals in the world, and yes, I know Moldavite is not a crystal. If we want to do a side note here, I have been to the Czech Republic. I know where Moldavite's from. I have been to Germany. I know where not just one crater is, but 2. I've been to them both. I know extensively about Moldavite. No, I don't know how many millions of years old it is. People say it's 14.7. Some people say it's 50. Who cares? What I know is that this crystal is phenomenal. And in Bajerski, if you walk the land where Moldavite is, you can feel the energy. I have been at least 5 times now extensively on the research of Moldavite and writing a book called The Power of Moldavite, and I want to get this right without spoiling it, but I also went on the travel of trying to find where the mother stone is, okay? And that's going to be in the book, and I'm going to explain where I believe it is and so on. So yeah, I have an extensive understanding, over 10,000 hours easily working with Moldavite. Daily I work now with Moldavite all the time. So the most interesting thing for me was working with clients and watching their experience. Moldavite started becoming super intensive when I was working on clients who became more and more open to it. So let's say the first encounter of Moldavite would be a little bit weird for them. So they'd see and feel weird things. They'd say stuff like, "I felt like I was floating," which wasn't them. It was, they were attuned to Moldavite, because Moldavite comes from out of this world. And I believe wholeheartedly, after all the extensive research I've done through the experience of clients and what they experienced with a piece of Moldavite on their forehead without even knowing, is that there is a pattern. And that pattern is that there was a planet, and the planet exploded in some way. No idea why, but the fragments of Moldavite, wherever they went in the world, some of them came here. And in Moldavite, there is a memory. There is a memory. And I wrote down the memory of what people were giving me information after a piece of Moldavite was on them. Now, you would ask this question, and I would do the same. Did they do the same thing when you put a piece of, let's say, Lemurian quartz on them? No, they didn't. they would give me experience of earthly experiences of thoughts and feelings, and thoughts and feelings. So let's take, for instance, a beautiful, common, powerful amethyst. Place that on the third eye. You would get conversations where I wrote them all down of shapes which are shapes of this world. Triangles, squares, circles, colours of this world. So I'd write down like, oh, I saw purple, I saw red, and so on. And experiences, I saw my mum, I saw a face of another human being, but I saw an animal. Okay, so that is earthly experiences with crystals on this planet, which were grown by Mother Earth. Okay, but Moldavite was giving me information from my clients, were giving me information which was not of this world. They were telling me they were seeing shapes that they've never seen before, geometry that was just so incredible, and yet they could decipher what was said by the geometry. So they was telling me, I saw these patterns which I can't even explain, but I knew what the patterns were telling me, and I'd write that down. I was seeing people which were floating, or I was floating, and I saw faces which were not of this world. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the fragment of memory within Moldavite was being given to the client, and the client would share that memory with me. Now here it becomes even more fascinating, because as I was working, I started noticing on many clients a kind of pattern that was weird, really weird. Did it happen with other crystals? Yes, but not exactly the same. So the first thing what would happen would be an intensive breath, which is like you're blowing out, like like that, like weird, like, is this person strange? What's going on here? Never seen this before. Okay, so that was the first port of call of something happening. I write about this in my book and explaining what the process is of how it works. After this deep breath has cleansed, after you've cleansed and cleared all toxins from your mouth, all that, all of a sudden you're going into a deeper space. And then all of a sudden comes the Moldavite language, And I spent many of times putting my ear next to a client's mouth, trying to listen to what they were saying. I never did understand what they were saying. I did extensive research in listening to that sound of a language, which I started to spend, I guess, 2 years trying to listen to other languages on the internet, listen to it. Is it anything like it? Is it similar? Nothing came close. So then I realized this is a language which is out of this world. That was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And I could probably go on and on and on and on, but you're probably wondering to yourself, okay, where's this going? What is this all about? Well, I make this video today to say that Moldavite, back when I was 38 years old, was giving information which was completely different from the information that's given now. The information what's given now is completely different. So back then it was what I understood from my clients when they got up was that through technology we will kill this world. We will destroy the world. And I believe that what they were saying was equally what happened to them. So this is an observation. I think that their planet was destroyed because of greater technology for the higher good, or so they thought. And they were warning us, and we are being warned to this day. The technology, what we are introducing day by day, is killing the human spirit and soul and creating nothing more than automatons. And through that, we will then become lifeless, and we will do things that we would never normally do and create wars and havoc and possibly nuclear war. So it's a warning. Moldavite was a warning then, and it still is, but now it's changed, and that's why the power of Moldavite never came out, and it still hasn't come out, because that was then, and something's changed with Moldavite now. Not only has the price trebled, which is a horrible thing, but it is what it is. Well, it's bound to happen, isn't it? If it's really a good product, then it's gonna be more wanted than ever. So I've come to the fact that, you know what, Mark, it is what it is. So what's happening now? Well, when I meditate with Moldavite, there's a lot going on with purging. There's something happen with cleansing, with clearing, and it's not just awakening, but it's purging of not just toxins, not just physical issues, but something to do with the deep spiritual purging. So deep traumas, suffering, all the things that are trapped within us that I believe Moldavite is trying to help clear, so we become more of a clear vessel to understand and become the antenna, that perfect attunement to what's really happening in the world and how we can make a difference and make the change. Some of the things that fascinated me with Moldavite is that when I wear it, I seem to have downloads quite often. You probably understand that if you wear Moldavite. So all of a sudden you can have like a download in a few seconds of so many things. You can have creative thoughts that are so wild and out there, it's unreal. The connection between what I believe is this extraterrestrial energy that is still a consciousness around us and within the Mother Stone, and that's why Moldavite disappears a lot, because it reconnects to the Mother Stone. But not only just that, it also connects to people that need it, and it's used in so many ways, more than we realize when we have it. So sometimes we can lose it and wonder why. It's a fascinating subject. It's a fascinating crystal. It really is in so many ways. So this fallacy that the bigger the Moldavite, the more powerful it is, it's not true. I have pieces which are under a gram, which have been the most powerful Moldavites I've ever worked with. So size has got nothing to do with it. The power of Moldavite can be half a gram and still blow you away if you stick it on your third eye or just wear it. Some of the things that Moldavite do to know when you've got a piece of Moldavite is that you'll feel an extensive tingling in the hand or on your body. You'll have the hair stand up, you'll start to feel things and feel strange. You'll also feel a kind of deep, wanting to have a deep breath, and your chest feels like it's expanding and contracting, and it's an amazing feeling. There's so many topics of conversation on the feeling of Moldavite, but you'll experience your own. Some people talk about the Moldavite flush. I talk about many different forms of reaction to Moldavite, sometimes tears, sometimes freaking out, thinking this is weird, and some to the point where some people think it's evil. It's not evil. What's happening is it's purging you, it's clearing you of fear, negativity, all the stuff that the modern world has tried to force down your throat. So it's trying to purge you, it's trying to clean you. And I often said to my client, I do to this day, keep it on. Yeah, but it's doing it, keep it on. Yeah, but it's doing it, keep it on. Yeah, but keep it on. And then they keep it on and they say, oh, I feel so much better now. Oh, it's gone now. Yeah, of course it's gone. It's not going to stay forever. It's going to disappear. It's going to purge. It's going to release. So you're venting all of the spiritual trauma that you've had all your life. Moldavite is fantastic also for connecting to the spirit world as well as extraterrestrial energy. So it heightens your awareness. So if you're a psychic, if you're a healer, if you want to move forward in the path of spirituality and your awareness, and you want to create more, Moldavite is perfect. So I just wanted to introduce you to Moldavite in a way that is balanced. And you know, when you listen to people, I think it's really vital that you listen to people who've spent over 10,000 hours with Moldavite. If not, then it's only their one limited experience. I've experienced thousands of clients who have experienced Moldavite on a 1 hour or a 1 hour and a half healing session. So my experience comes with clients, and I think that's vital than taking on board somebody's TikTok experience where they're screaming and shouting with their emotions flying everywhere and their complete chemical imbalanced minds. And yeah, I think it's important you find the balance who you listen to. So if you're here watching it now, it may serve you to go out to your local crystal store and get yourself a piece of Moldavite. As long as it's genuine, then you'll have an experience, whether it's within the first second or within a few months. Keep it on, let it do the purging, and eventually you will feel something. Remember, my first experience with Moldavite is because I was working at a high level of psychic attunement, so I was ready for it. I was aware. I was like, you know, but there was no feeling of, oh, I need to feel this, or I should feel that. So the expectation was zero. So now it's kind of like, oh, well, I've got this expectation. Well, no, you know what you know now. Take the expectation away and just wear it and let it be. Don't look for anything. Don't try and feel anything. Just wear it or hold it and meditate as if you would normally. Don't look for anything. And what you'll find is that the Moldavite will share its energy with you, whether it's in a thunderbolt and lightning strike, which isn't always the best thing, really, because it's like putting money in a slot machine and winning straight away. You're only going to be disappointed after that. So for me, build up, build up, build up with Moldavite. Let it grow and grow and grow. It could take years sometimes. Oh, not interested then if it doesn't fix me in 7 days. Yeah, take away spirituality, take away humanity, energy, thought, and it's scary these days what this and what the AI technology has done to humanity. It really has made us into a takeaway. I don't know what we are anymore. But I'm wishing you all a lovely day. My Moldavites have just arrived. I am now uploading them on Bajerski.com. I haven't had any for a while because they all got sold out. I have many people around the world who buy them. So I hope you enjoy your genuine piece of Moldavite, where I got them direct from Maliklum, some from Bajerski, some from Club. And yeah, it's nice getting a genuine piece because there's too many fake out there. Be careful, guys. Be very careful. Buy from reputable dealers. That's all I've got to say. And if it's too cheap and it's too good to be true, it normally is. You're just probably buying a piece of glass, even though it's a piece of glass anyway. Shut up. Have a lovely day. Thank you, guys.